Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to Poker Mind Expansion. So, we are going to continue talking about Zen and the parallels and talk about how we expand our minds, methods, etc. So, I want to say a story. Now, one winter day, there was a masterless samurai who came to Asai's temple. And he made an appeal. And he said, I'm very poor, I'm very sick, and my family is dying of hunger. Please help us, my master. Dependent as he was on widow's mites, Asai's life was very austere. He had nothing to give. He was about to send the samurai off when he remembered an image of Yakushi Buddha in the hall. Going up to it, he tore off the golden halo and gave it to the samurai. He said, "Sell this. It should tie you over." The bewildered samurai was very desperate, and he bowed and said thank you, and left. "Master," cried one of Asai's disciples, "that is sacrilege. How could you do such a horrible thing?" The master said, "Sacrilege? I've merely put the Buddha's mind, which is full of love and mercy, to use, so to speak. Indeed, if he himself had heard that poor samurai and his family, he would have cut off a limb to help him." Poker is a flower, and a free mind is unburdened by past knowledge. That is its fragrance. Exactly like that it happens. The flower blooms, and the fragrance spreads in the wind in all directions to be carried to various ends of the earth. But the basic thing is the blooming of the flower. Every poker player is carrying the potential flowering within him. Until and unless the inner being of the man flowers, the fragrance of a free mind is not possible. A free mind cannot be practiced. It is not a discipline. You cannot manage it. It is beyond what we think we are. If we meditate, one day we suddenly become aware of a very strange phenomenon, something that we could not have previously imagined. A free mind is flowing from your being toward the whole existence. It is undirected, it is unaddressed, it is moving to the very ends of existence. Without meditation, the same mind remains imprisoned with past knowledge. With meditation, the same mind becomes absolutely unburdened of the past. The mind burdened by the past and the equanimous mind are not two different energies. They are one and the same energy. Once it all passes through meditation, it is transformed, transfigured, and it becomes qualitatively different. Remember that when we're boiling water, we cannot get the water to evaporate until we are at 100 degrees Celsius. It takes an absolute totality of our effort to get there, because 97 will not do it. 98 will not do it. 99 will not do it. The conflict solution mind has to go downward, and relaxation, curiosity, appreciation for the vastness of poker must move upwards. Passion moves through desire, but compassion moves through desirelessness. And passion is an occupation to forget the swings, the ups and downs, the difficulties of poker. But compassion is a celebration, because compassion is a dance of attainment, fulfillment. You are fulfilled, so fulfilled that you can share the love of this game rather than making it into a competition. We can make it a life that is far beyond comparison with others, but it fills our very being with happiness. In the mystical realm of poker, where the dance of cards unfolds upon the green felt or on our PC screen, there exists two divergent paths of perception, and it's very important to understand the two possibilities for our perception, the two mindsets. We have the competitive mindset, the success mindset where I want to go, I want to compete, I want to beat, and then we have the mastery mindset. The competitive mindset is very similar to a blind man walking in the hall, walking down the corridor, trying to understand the intricacies of strategy. But the mastery mindset offers a flickering flame of consciousness, which gives a very distinct vista of understanding and a very different vantage point from a holistic perspective. It is very important to understand what I say every single episode. We cannot miss the forest for the trees. We must think about this. This is very important because the competitive mindset is akin to a hawk swooping upon its prey, because it fixates upon the gaze of conquest upon its opponent and the accumulation of an object. But in this realm of immediate gratification, victory and our sense of self and what we believe will make us happy simply comes from how many chips we've accumulated, which is almost nothing within our control. What has happened to our opponents in terms of chips going across the table? Who has won? It is a world of fleeting triumphs and momentary glories, where the ego reigns supreme and the thrill of victory masks the emptiness within. It becomes a great challenge to expand one's understanding and to improve. So many presuppositions that we have when we play are simply founded on tricks rather than a deeper understanding of the game's principles. Contrastly, the mastery approach is much more similar to a sage wandering the path of enlightenment, because he perceives poker as a sacred art to be mastered, and a tapestry woven from the threads of skill, intuition, self-awareness. But the key is to understand oneself before we go and fight the enemy. Sun Tzu, a very ancient Chinese general, who has written a book which has stood the test of time, called The Art of War, once said that if you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. In this realm of eternal learning, success is not measured by whether or not we win a hand, by whether or not we've been successful monetarily, but by the depth of our understanding gained, the wisdom acquired, and the growth experienced. Because poker is a journey of self-discovery. It is a journey of transcendence, where each hand becomes a meditation. Each decision is a reflection of our innermost being. In the competitive mindset, the focus is always outward on defeating opponents, winning hands, accumulating tricks to remember to use in the next session. It is a mindset driven by the insatiable hunger for validation and recognition, because the ego seeks solace and conquest of others. In addition to wanting to acquire monetary assets, which is important for the utility of our life, but it will not bring fulfillment. You cannot eat money and make it make you happy. It can only buy comfort. The preliminary approach in the competitive mindset is not love for poker. The relentless pursuit of victory loses sight of the true essence of the game, the dance of impermanence, the ebb and flow of life, the fact that we have no control. And what little control we have lies in the decisions that we make at the poker table with our cards. It's very important that we see the interconnectedness of all of our actions and all decisions when we are playing at the table. Because in the mastery mindset, the focus is always inward. It's always on self-discovery. It's always on self-mastery, self-transcendence. It is an approach rooted in the soil of awareness, where each hand becomes an opportunity to think about what we are, Why are these thoughts arising? Why am I so paranoid of being bluffed when the hand before, when I had a value hand, I did not care? But now I have a medium strength hand and this paranoia comes up. Why is my thought process inconsistent? The point is not to find an answer. The point is to reflect and understand our own inner landscape. What mental game coaches offer in poker is absolutely superficial. They are not here to expand your mind. They are here to give you a mechanism to cling to make you feel safe. But victory is not measured by external accolades. It is absolutely measured by the love that we have for the game and the depth of insight that we have in the game, which is certainly coming from the expanse in consciousness through understanding ourselves, through meditation, through realizing that poker is absolutely paradoxical. And to embody the mastery approach is to embrace the paradox of poker, to surrender the need for victory and defeat, and instead to immerse oneself in the flow of the entirety of the game with an open heart, because there are a myriad of possibilities that unfold with each turn of cards. It is to recognize that true mastery certainly does not lie in the conquest of opponents, but in the cultivation of curiosity, of enjoyment, of love, the same way that we would go and play tennis with a friend, where we are simply playing for fun because we love it, because it is an absolute treasure. In the final analysis, whether one chooses the path of competition or mastery, it is absolutely a matter of choice. And it is a reflection of one's innermost desires and aspirations, and how insecure they are, and how much they need to prove themselves to others. But it's important to remember that the true essence of poker, just like life itself, lies not in the pursuit of victory or accumulation of any objects, but in the journey of self-discovery and mastery that unfolds with each hand dealt and each decision made. The same energy that was moving through the dark layers of competition now move with light rays up, and they are uncontaminated by desire. They are uncontaminated by any conditioning. They are not corrupted by any motivation. They are not a means to an end to look good in the eyes of others. They are not a means to an end to improve our self-esteem, because the presupposition that we are not good enough is a lie. This game must be played with the same love that children have. The flower may have some limitations, but the fragrance does not. The flower has limitations in the sense that it is rooted somewhere. It is rooted to the ground in a certain type of bondage. But fragrance has no bondage. It simply moves, it rides on the wind, with no moorings to the earth. Poker is a flower. It has roots, and it exists within us. Once love for poker happens, it is not rooted. It simply moves and goes on moving. Now Gautama Siddhartha Buddha disappeared, but his love did not disappear. The flower will die sooner or later. It is a part of the earth. The dust will return unto dust, but the fragrance that has been released will remain here forever and ever. Buddha is gone. Jesus is gone, but their fragrance is not. Their love for life still continues, and wherever one is open to love, they will certainly immediately feel their impact, and they will be moved by it. They will be taken on a very new journey, a very new pilgrimage. But it involves understanding that this game is not about competition. This game is about curiosity. This game is about love. This game is about asking questions. It is not about finding cookie-cutter answers. Now, in the cosmic dance of existence, where the shuffle of cards echoes the rhythms of the universe, there's a very profound wisdom awaiting the seeker. Poker seemingly is a game of chance and strategy on the surface to the recreational player. But to the seasoned pros that we are, that are interested in mind expansion, it certainly unveils itself as a sacred journey which we can take, a pilgrimage of self-discovery and awakening. And it is not a spiritual thing. It is far deeper than only spiritual. Sure, from one angle it is spiritual. But it is not limited to that. In the silent spaces between the deals in the fold, that time itself seems to stand still. And that is when we are invited to delve into the depths of our own understanding of ourself and the game. Because each card that is actually drawn, each decision that is made becomes a mirror that reflects the intricacies of our own mind and the essence of our soul. In the realm of Zen, we're often reminded to embrace the present moment with childlike wonder and to dance to life's uncertainties and mysteries without attachment and aversion. It's very important to remember that in the game of poker, we're absolutely called to witness the unfolding drama of each hand that is dealt, with our heart wide open and our mind unclouded by wanting to win. In fact, understanding where the EV is in the leaves at the end of the game tree, and understanding how frequently we get there and finding the product and leading our hands down those nodes certainly is not the same as the percentage at which we win the hand. This is not maximizing our EV. On this great green felt stage of life, it's important to understand the paradoxes and the contradictions inherent in human experience. Because skill and chance are absolutely intertwined, and nature has a big role. There is a big role in variance, and all we can do is increase our knowledge of the game. Like lovers in a cosmic dance, in fact, because victory and defeat are like two sides of the same coin. And this is the point, that in the face of these paradoxes, we learn to surrender to the flow of life, to ride it like the waves of the oceans of existence, with grace and equanimity. It's very important to remember that poker, in its essence, is simply a mirror that reflects the interconnectedness of what we are, because each decision made sends ripples through the fabric of reality, echoing across the vast expanse of existence. And it is absolutely the case, because we are not separate from poker. What we are is poker. We are using a very beautiful, squishy brain each moment. And the conscious mind that we know cannot understand the vastness, the intelligence that we are. It is important, it is integral to understand the different parts of the unfolding drama, not with the compartmentalized associations that we see and we know and we believe in our knowledge, but we have to make a quantum leap into the unknown. We have to start meditating on why things happen, not simply what to do. Now, through practice of poker, through practice of meditation, which are ultimately the same if you're taking the mastery mindset, we invite ourselves to explore the depths of our own minds, to confront our own fears, our limitations, and to transcend the boundaries of egoic consciousness. In the silence of the game, we hear the whispers of our soul guiding us on a journey of self-discovery and transformation, and we start listening to our intuition far more than the intellectual. And in the end, poker is not merely a game of cards, but it is absolutely a sacred practice. It is a religious practice. It is a scientific practice, and the gateway to the mysteries of existence and the truths of our heart. Absolutely help us navigate the twists and turns of the game. But it is fundamental that we lay the groundwork of meditation, because that is the way to expand our mind. And it's important to understand that when we lose a hand and we see a reaction within us, it is not something to demean. It is not something to say we know we're not supposed to get angry and find more punishment. That is where we need to find compassion and say, wow, we must be in a lot of pain to have a nervous system reaction, a fight or flight response when we lose money, even though we have enough money to pay for our rent, even though we have enough money to pay for our food, and all that matters is we learn to understand the game deeper. These internal reactions are our focus because they are the only thing that we have. Because the idea that we have poker outside of our internal reactions. Well, what is poker? We are looking at a screen. So we can see it with our sight, we can touch the mouse, we cannot taste it, we cannot smell it, maybe we can hear some chips, but ultimately poker is a set of agreements about rules in the sky. But the truth is that poker is just our knowledge. Poker is just the totality of what we are. And who we are is not separate from that. Certainly not for the real lover of the game. Only a fool can think that they are separate from poker. And only a fool can think that others are separate from poker. Now I want to give a very good example. In the realm of music production, which is another very important creative field, and you cannot simply learn game theory and expect to win in this field. You must have a great, profound ability to create, a great imagination. There is a creator with a very, very esoteric and enlightened approach. In fact, he is a man of enlightenment. His name is Rick Rubin. And he has been one of the most transformative figures over the last 100 years in music. In fact, throughout our human history. It is very important to understand that Rubin may not profess to any particular philosophy, but his methods reflect very deeply the same mind expansion principles that we talk about. The same approach to being authentic about our fear, to being honest with ourselves, to give ourselves creative freedom. This is a man of enlightenment, and he is a man that is working today. So I want to think about some of the methods that he uses with different artists to help expand their mind. Because much like a very skilled poker player navigating the complexities of the game, Rubin approaches record production with a keen sense of intuition and adaptability. He does not take a cookie cutter and slam it into the dough, because he absolutely understands, the same as poker players, that great records, just like winning hands, are not simply a result of prowess, but it is a deep connection to the essence of what music is, and the artist's vision, the same as who we are as poker players. There's nothing that a training site can teach us. They can teach us some mathematics, but they cannot teach us who we are. Now, Rubin often encourages the artists to trust their instincts and to embrace uncertainty and to play in a way that makes one more creative and encourages one to trust their own intuition. Now, what's very central to Rubin's methodology is the cultivation of a very nurturing and supportive environment in the studio. And this is the same for what I believe is absolutely fundamental to all poker players. A space where we, as artists, as mathematicians, as philosophers, we are all these things because we are the creator of our own reality. We must feel empowered to explore creativity very freely without any sort of fear or judgment or constraint. We have to make meditation about poker, not simply doing nothing, but our meditation can be about poker. Simply doing nothing is absolutely fine. In fact, the one that wants to do something should be questioned. But often it's very difficult to sit and do nothing. So we can think about hands in meditation, and we can make it absolutely creative. It is important to make this a sanctuary of creativity. And what Rubin does for his artists goes far beyond what your mental game coaches in poker would suggest. Because what is very important is to be able to hone one's own unique loves and appreciations and have our own autonomy. It's very important to have someone who is compassionate, Certainly, if we don't have anybody else in our life that is compassionate, we ourselves need to learn the art of being compassionate to ourselves. Because through this presence of listening to ourselves, we create a space where magic can happen. And this is what artists have been doing throughout history, to tap into the depths of their creativity, to be able to express themselves authentically. And much in the same way that a very skilled poker player must cultivate self-awareness and emotional resilience off of the table, what this man, Mr. Rubin, encourages to his artists is to give themselves love and attention away from the studio, because he understands that creativity is not simply a matter of technique or skill, but it is a deep connection with one's innermost self. Nurturing our own well-being and cultivating a balance in our life. And balance is not about doing this and doing that. In fact, it is a non-doing. In fact, it is attention to our internal experience. It is learning to give love to the different parts of our experience that we have been repressing for a long time, rather than feeling doubt and fear and wanting to find things to push them away, wanting to hear sayings or motivational videos to suppress it. In fact, sitting with that pain and saying, where is this coming from? These are thoughts. But what is underneath that? And it will not be told in some intellectual way. It will come as feelings, because contrary to popular belief, spiritual enlightenment is some intellectual realization. There is a realization, but don't worry about that, because the one that is worried about that is the one that will realize its own non-existence. In fact, what we need to do is simply put the water in our garden. We need to build a very beautiful fence. Maybe we want to get some good fertilizer, and then we want to give it attention every day. I'm sure that most of the poker players that are watching these videos right now have already gone and watched self-help videos, personal mastery videos, and they've realized that the majority of these people do not know what they're talking about. And there's a reason why we're coming to this particular channel, because there's nothing unique that I'm saying. See, I'm only regurgitating words of timeless masters. So we ourselves have already seen that the very superficial approach to self-help does not work. Or it does help, but it does not go as deep as we will need to be able to expand our minds for poker, because it is for the very superficial man who is interested in how he is perceived by others rather than his actual creative endeavor. Now, it's very important to understand that in order to replenish our creative energies and approach this craft of poker with vigor and inspiration and love, it all starts through self-love. And it all starts through not judging oneself. And let me give you an example of a judgment that happens. And I'm sure that most of us are aware that this is simply an emotional experience happening within us, because we are certainly going to be more self-aware than the vast majority of people who have not been forced into playing poker. Not that we've been forced into it. Absolutely, we've chosen at some level. But there are a lot of careers where people do not have the time or the ability, or they don't even know that it would be a good idea to create consciousness, to water the seed of consciousness, to create self-awareness. It's very, very important to understand that our creative integrity, who we are, is of the utmost importance. We cannot reduce ourselves to mere machines and robots, because we don't want impositions from anyone else. We ourselves are perfect, and we ourselves and our own ideas are very good if we listen to our intuition and not our mind. So it's very important to be able to express ourselves and channel what we want from poker. Not in the same method of I'm going to go to PioSolver and click, 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 because I have the belief by doing more things I will fulfill my self-esteem. There are people that will do that, but let them crash and burn. Don't waste your time trying to convince them. They will have to see for themselves that seeking certainty will not fix their emotions. It will not fix their slavery to their emotions, because they don't understand that if they can feel good because they win and bad because they lose, then they don't know what strategy is, because they're still completely imprisoned in their mind. They still feel bad. They don't simply prioritize their energy into thinking about what will happen in the next situation, because they're imprisoned by their own emotions. Now we see this less in poker with professionals, of course. But it's very important to understand that many professionals still feel it, but because they've been told that it's not cool to admit that they don't like losing, or they've been told not to complain, or they want to fit in, that they should suppress these feelings. But in fact, mastery is absolutely the opposite. Mastery is understanding that these feelings do not come from nowhere. They come from the belief that I should win. And this is absolutely irrational, because when we sit at the poker table, there is no shoulds. We are simply playing a very beautiful game. We are making a science project. We are doing brilliant art when we play poker. It is important to understand that deriving our well-being and our happiness from the results of something, like we are going to go fishing and we believe that we need to catch 3 fish today. I'm so sorry, but this is not the nature of reality. What this is this is the ego, what is in psychology maybe called the something that creates cognitive bias, the sense of self, the thing inside of the head, the voice in the head that says, I should have won this pod. What is happening is that we are being hijacked by a fight or flight response. We are feeling that we should win this. And I think that a lot of professionals understand that it's not really logical. We should win this. That the entitlement that we feel is not productive. However, very often people are taught to repress this, and they are told that these things are bad, when in fact there's nothing wrong with it. It's simply the way that the society has taught us to behave. The way that the society has taught us that things that don't matter, they try to make a meaning out of it, when in reality the meaning behind winning or losing is nothing. What actually matters maybe is looking at the showdown and seeing if our assumptions were correct. And then we can think, well, he has this hand, what have we seen in the past, and updating our model, and then creating a new strategy. No Vincent van Gogh has time to worry about whether he won or lost. He spent all of his time doing his best work. Nobody bought a single painting from this man. In fact, his own brother, out of sympathy for Vincent, sent his friend to purchase a painting. And Vincent became very, very skeptical of this fact, because the man came and looked at his art, and rather than really looking at each piece, he was like, I just want this one, here's X amount of dollars. Because his brother felt that Vincent van Gogh's art was absolutely terrible and no one would ever buy it. And he did not want his self-esteem to be ruined. But Van Gogh, in fact, said, fuck you to the man. And he said, you get out of my place at once, because you are not a true lover of art. In fact, you are an imposter. And I can tell by your eye contact, by your movement, that you look like you were part of the crowd, and if you were interested in art, you would not be interested in mine. You don't even look at my art. You simply look at the dollar bills. You don't know me. You've sought me out. There's something up. I think someone has put you up to this. I don't believe you. Van Gogh's intuition was absolutely astonishing. And it is because he loved his work. And it is the same love that we already have. We don't need to cultivate. In fact, what we need is not to cultivate love. We already are love. We have to give attention to the parts of our emotional experience that can be painful, the parts of our experience that wish to cling to certainty, that wish to know, this is my strategy for sure. Let me look at this hand, we know. Now, most people that are doing that, they're pretty new. They've been playing for a couple of years, they've been attached to the solvers, but more of the old school players understand that this search for certainty is absolutely nonsensical. And if you just go by mathematics, you can realize very logically that it would be very irrational to attempt to do this. But unfortunately, most of the people that are seeking certainty are listening to the training sites, and training sites have no obligation to truth. In fact, what they are attempting to do is sell a product. And they're not doing a bad job. They're also giving great knowledge. But the problem is that the knowledge is not enough. Because the actual perceiver, the operating system that the perceiver, the individual poker player is acquiring, has to be using an operating system which is not a slave to his own emotions. If he feels angry when he loses a hand, this is obviously a conditioning. There's obviously a lot of emotional suppression going on. Now, it might be the fact that 90-something% of humans are like this, and it might be the fact that we see everybody acts like this around us. It does not mean that it's the way that it needs to be. If you look at industries like art, like music, many other creative fields, we will find that the top people are not so interested in self-referential material. Like, I am a good person compared to these people, or I am a bad person compared to these people because of my actions. This self-referential thought is not necessary because we are interested in the pursuit, like poker. We love poker. We are interested in the art. We do not need to compare ourselves to other poker players and think, well, we're not good enough, but one day if we do something in the future, then we will be, and derive who we are from that. That is absolutely delusional, and that is exactly what the society wants. But it is not what we can do, because when we embark on this journey, we have to unravel the commitment to authenticity. And what I would say is that exploring our own creative expression and what we enjoy and what we don't is one of the first keys. The truth of magic is that it is very, very similar to fishing, the example I gave earlier, in the sense that we do not have control over how many fish we catch. Meditation is magic, and magic is meditation. It is the only true magic. There is no other magic. The magic of it is that it's not magic. What it actually is that we need to set aside time to meditate on poker after our poker sessions. This is absolutely fundamental. We are not going to find a cheat sheet out there because all the personal development people sell a load of bullshit. Because what they don't tell you is that you need to sit and feel your pain, because all of the negative emotions that we have, our resistance to life, comes from suppressed emotions. These are the facts. Aristotle will disagree. But I am no Aristotle. I am not such a fool. Nor is Rick Rubin. Nor is Leonardo da Vinci. Nor is Vincent van Gogh, nor is Lil Wayne, nor is Pablo Picasso, nor is Nikola Tesla, nor is Thomas Edison. You see, it's very important to understand that if you want to become a Michael Jordan, you have to go beyond your ego-encapsulated identity and remember that you are consciousness itself. You are God. You are the totality of existence. There is no separation. This separation is a dream. You are not separate from poker. All of your knowledge of poker is within your brain, saved as a collection of memories, which has been compartmentalized into a way for you to be able to play effectively. There are ways to expand our experience. Now, for those who are already doing very well and are happy and perfect, these videos are not for them. But for those who are interested in mastery at a very deep level, because mastery of ourself in poker have no differentiation, and only the fool can think that there is a way to differentiate yourself from poker. You cannot. Only a fool can think that he can get good at poker without understanding himself. But everybody tells you that they understand themselves. Go meet 20 people, and 20 people will tell you that they mostly understand themselves. And the people that say they don't are simply saying that because they don't want to be perceived as arrogant. So they would like to be perceived as humble. But deep down, they do think they know what they're talking about. When they have conversations with themselves at night, when they think about stuff in their bed when they're going to sleep, they feel they do because it's an egoic defense mechanism. And they simultaneously feel that they don't as well, because all of these thoughts simultaneously exist in consciousness. It's just that some of us are more unconscious than others. And we as poker players do not have the opportunity to be benefited by our own ignorance like in many other industries. For example, politics. It's very important that poker rewards reality. It does not reward political games and psychological manipulations of ourselves, trying to imagine that we will feel better if we believe it. Zen has nothing to do with belief. In fact, Zen is about destroying the differentiator, the thing that believes that because I win, I should feel better, when all that happens are a few numbers on a screen go to the left or they go to the right. And whether they go to the left, I'm going to feel very good. And I'm going to feel as though I'm intelligent and I know what I'm doing. And if they go to the right, I'm not. This is pure schizophrenia. This is absolutely being a slave to a screen, to the matrix. There is a way out. There is a way to expand our minds so we can think strategically without being slaves to our emotions. I love you all very much. We're going to continue making more episodes. I will speak with you all soon. Mwah.